You are listening to the Boss Experience Podcast, a podcast with conversations about business growth, self-development, and maintaining a mindset to achieve business success. My name is Michele Davis, and I am a business strategist and coach, and I am your host. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of the Boss Experience Podcast. My name is Michele Davis, and I'm your host. And just a reminder, new episodes of the Boss Experience Podcast return in January 2023. So I am sharing a bonus episode with you today of an interview from The Troy Show with Troy Hippolito. And I'm sharing it in 3 parts because it's a rather long interview. So in this first clip, I share the pros and cons of using courses to start your business. When people decide to start a coaching, consulting, or service provider type business, they tend to either consume, the free content available on YouTube University and other places online. They hire a coach or they purchase a course with the goal of learning what they need to do to get started. Now, obviously, there's pros and cons to everything I just mentioned. So in this clip, I'm giving just my personal opinion about courses. And so I hope you enjoy the episode. Just because we have knowledge in our head doesn't mean we know how to map everything out, especially when we're, in most cases, leaving, these long professional careers, or for me anyway, I left a long career. So trying to put the pieces together in the beginning, it can be challenging, and no one has it all figured out, despite what they tell you online.
It's absolutely true. I'm a coach, but I have several coaches and I pay for them, and it's not the fact that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm very good at what I do, but you need a sounding board and there's information you just don't have. And so it's not a slight for anyone that needs a coach. I think everyone should have it. So coaches have coaches, and it's actually pretty normal, or consultants, or whatever you want to call it. You know what? I actually don't even know the difference between a consultant and a coach. They're synonymous for me.
Well, consultants are more of advisors, and the coaches are the ones doing, that are more involved in the process. So a consultant will come in and let you know what you have to do, and a coach will kind of lead you through it.
Oh, accountability is a big deal.
Right. And coaches serve as mentors as well. And, I don't think I could have done a lot in my business had I not invested in coaching. And I remember my first coach when I first started, it was pretty painful.
Really? I like to hear that.
Yeah, because, I had, I was coming from this long career in nonprofit services, developing programs. I'm like, I know what I'm doing, right? I got this. And so I hired my first coach, business coach, and I wanted them to help me, kind of lay everything out. And even though I knew program design, I had been doing it for 16 years, it's always good to have a second set of eyes on your work, to bounce ideas off of people. This is what I'm thinking about. And being fully online was all new to me. So here I was, and I was just plastering my social media with just what I sold. I offered zero value, zero value. So he took one look at it and he was like, okay, what is your goal here on social media? Because all I see is services. No one's going to connect with you that way. And we'll get into that, some of the things that people do, but that was my crazy thing.
Well, that's how you get started, not doing it right.
Correct. And marketing and all of those things are part of it. You have to learn how to get the stuff in your head in a really organized way that's going to bring transformation or solve a big problem for someone else.
Oh, that absolutely makes sense. So before we start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know that you started speaking on that you had a long career in nonprofits and stuff, but can you tell me what kind of coach you do, what kind of clients you're helping, and just a little bit about yourself before we get started?
So I am a business coach and strategist. And what that means is I help specifically coaches or aspiring coaches design their signature program. And I also work with some consultants as well. And a lot of the time what happens is people kind of come in and they they kind of get locked into the one-on-one, and then they,
Hmm.
kind of bounce around to different types of models within their overall coaching business. So I help them streamline everything, create their signature coaching program, their
Hmm.
high ticket signature coaching program, because you
Hmm.
you want to make money, And so,
You want to avoid some of the tire kickers, I imagine.
correct, yeah.
Hmm.
So, my clients are predominantly people, they're either coming from a professional career, or they're, looking at what's next in their lives. So, I've worked with, let's say, an insurance agent that wants, I'm sorry, he owns an insurance agency, and he's
Okay.
looking at what's next for me. In 5 years, I want to retire, but I have, 30 years of knowledge I need to lay out. I don't want to stop working, but I, I,
Hmm.
I want to coach others. And I've been doing it all this time. So we worked on, putting his program together.
Hmm.
Another professional I've worked with is principal the list goes on, but the
Hmm.
principal, again, she's going to retire.
Hmm.
She's approaching her 25-year mark as
Oh,
in education. And so now she's looking at what's next for me, and
right.
she has all of this knowledge. So, I help people tap into what is it that's their strength, because it's easy to kind of fall into the trap online and coach based on what you think is going to make you the quickest buck. And
Right,
we see it
right.
all the time, and people, they forget about their own strengths.
So they become more commercial than not really developing an authentic
Correct.
strategy for the long term.
Correct. And so,
Mhm.
and just because you have a signature program doesn't mean you can't build out, other aspects of your business. You can
Yeah, things
have,
change. Things
yeah.
change after a while, depending on what. For me, it's what the clients are really needing. You know.
I'm glad you said that, because one thing I'm noticing, and a lot of programs neglect to do that, and that's why I'm not a fan of courses either,
Hmm.
is, people want that personal touch. And
Hmm.
I'm when I look at, my client list or client roster, they're all people of a certain age that have life experience, have career experience. You want that extra support, especially when you're doing something new. So
Well,
in
I think these high ticket type of services require that personal touch. That's really what they're paying for
some
the
of them.
engagement. Well, but yeah,
Mhm.
but they should be paying for the actual engagement. And we do business with people, not with androids, or whatever.
There's a lot of programs that they, are charging in the upwards of like 10,000, 10 grand.
Hmm.
And their idea of personal touch is I come on live and you let me know if you have a question. And
Oh,
so, and those type of programs don't work for me. I
yeah,
want someone looking specifically at my business
yeah.
and telling me specifically what I need to do. And so I think that's what sets me apart. It's what sets you apart from other coaches, is that we actually dive into the business. Now, and it's that personal touch that you need, because generic information has never helped me grow.
How do I say, as adults, courses are great for an extra thing, an extra bit of knowledge, but for it to be the end all be all type thing, it's not the best. I have a whole series of courses myself for LinkedIn. I give it away on my programs as a just an additional value add. I don't make it as a major revenue stream. I do this because I think it's valuable within the context of the program. No.
And that's a wonderful way to use, courses,
Mhm.
to add to the value you're already delivering in your coaching program. But, to just sit down, watch some videos, I always was like, what's next? And, I got all the information in the course probably,
Mhm.
but I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
have all this information now. What do I do next? That, so part of the strategist, in the business coach and strategist title is, to help people strategize in terms of what's next. So in terms of my career, prior to becoming an entrepreneur, I was a nonprofit manager for 16 years. I was in the field for 20 years. I don't want to give away my age or anything,
Oh. Well, I'm
but
older. I got gray hair, so I'm older than I look.
my
I
gray hair has just died.
Oh,
So
really? I have to dye my hair then, but
no, you're fine.
mm,
So I spent 16 years as a nonprofit manager. And what I did is I developed coaching programs for our clients. I developed kind of that intensive programs. A lot of the
Hmm.
populations that I worked with ranged from domestic violence survivors, sexual assault survivors, formerly incarcerated individuals, people that are,
Well,
you
that's
know,
much different than the
chronically
business
ill.
coaching and consulting that you're doing.
Actually, not really, because when you think
Really?
about it, let's say someone has a chronic health condition and I'm
Uh-huh.
designing a program, a coaching program, because those people need one on one attention, right?
Oh,
How
okay.
to get better health outcomes.
Oh, so you're just creating a solution and connecting the dots for allow them to have an outlet towards success.
Correct. And most of the programs I developed, I also ended up kind of overseeing the program and the implementation of it as well.
Mm. So
So
there's a huge accountability portion.
correct. So my
Yeah.
last position, I oversaw the case management services for probably 850 to 1,000 clients, as well
Wow.
as the team that was, on the ground
Hmm.
providing the service.
Well, it does
Yeah,
sound like you know what you're doing then.
yeah, I should hope so. Yeah, so a lot of it's not a far stretch, and I think we kind of get caught in that when we come from our professional career, we think we got to learn something new because
Hmm.
we don't know enough.
So speaking of online courses that you mentioned, like little short videos, I think that stuff is good to learn how to do like something.
Basic
Like,
things,
yeah, I was just like,
yeah.
how do I? Because I'm a custom car guy, obviously, and so I have a Infinity Coupe. I don't want to pay other people to do certain things, you know. And I said I got a Saturday free, and so I figured out how to replasty dip my to black out my logos. I'm talking French, of course. You don't know what I'm talking about. And I got these white bulbs, and I'm like figuring how to do stuff. YouTube, you know, it's like I don't know how to. But those are very concise things. And
Right.
to really understand what you're doing, you need more of a deep dive, which is a different mechanism, you know.
And when you think about our work, Troy, we're helping people have a major transformation in their
Hmm.
business. And so they're going from, not, in your case, not knowing anything about LinkedIn to being able to get clients on a consistent basis from LinkedIn. And for me, it's, not knowing anything about how to design a program to actually being able to have this program that's going to deliver a transformation or solve a big problem for someone.
I would imagine you may have some of the same obstacles as far as finding the right client as I do,
Right.
because very few are qualified. And, you know, the people will say, oh, yeah, anyone can do it. And the truth is, no, I don't think anyone can do it. You have to show up. You actually have to do what needs to be done. You know, for my stuff, and I think, I know I'm not going to speak for you, but I believe our type of work is hands on. Like they have to know what they're doing. They have to have their hands in the cookie jar, and they have to kind of build those relationships for my clients in order to help them convert. For you, and in order to keep their programs, I would think if you don't have that personal engagement, you can have great signature programs, but you won't be able to keep any clients because they're paying X amount of dollars for a certain result, and if they're not actively implementing certain things, and there's not that human interaction and that accountability, it's really hard to be successful in whatever area you're in.
Right. Can you imagine someone taking a course? They're trying to create this program on their own, and it is you have no one to bounce ideas off of. You don't have a mentor. You don't know if this is transformational enough.
Hmm.
You don't know how to put the pieces together. It can get, it's challenging. So that's why I not just, mentor people along, but I also offer like laser coaching sessions, for some of my programs where say there's an implementation period. So let's say you work with me and now I kind of release you. I found that a lot of my clients were struggling with that release
Oh
period.
yeah, yeah. So you're
Yeah.
referring to as very specific, either weekly or monthly or whatever it is, to just get you back on track or
Right. So
solve specific issues that are coming across at certain times.
correct.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. My pilot program, which is my lower end, is 6 weeks, and after that, they can go monthly, you know, and we can do checkups and things like that. And they often will run into just a couple of mental blockers, because sometimes you're in the weeds and you don't see that what's obvious to other people, because you're constantly getting stuff done. And having that coach allows you to step back and take a look at it. And it's amazing. One little tweak could be the difference between being ultra successful and barely making it. It's a huge difference. And a lot of it's just a slight mind shift and one or two kind of shifts and stuff. And I make adjustments every 6 months, 3 to 6 months. I look at this, I reevaluate this. I said, is this relationship working? Is this working out? Who do I need to talk to? And who knows more stuff than me? I'm pretty smart, but I'm not like all knowing. I was a programmer. I was a designer. I had my own IT shop. We did, gamification and all this other stuff. And the biggest thing that I realized is that I don't know everything, and I don't want to know everything, to be honest with you. But this is what you're all about, is kind of making things happen.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Boss Experience podcast. I hope you enjoyed that episode, and I hope you came away from that episode with a lot to reflect on. The thing I want you to remember is, before you invest in anything that you're going to pay for, either in your time or with money, that you really sit down and reflect, what are your goals and what do you want to get from that experience? And, obviously my preference for learning things is to hire a coach. And I'm not saying that simply because I'm a coach, but I am saying that because I've done all the different things to get my business started. And I found that hiring a coach is the most effective. So you've heard my take on courses, and there's obviously some pros, but there's also cons in purchasing a course to actually learn how to start a business. So I'm not totally against courses, but I think it boils down to deciding what it is you're trying to learn, thinking about how you best learn and how you best consume information, and consider what it is you're trying to learn. And while courses are great, like I mentioned in the clip, to learn basic information, you may want to reconsider purchasing a course to learn how to start a business, because starting a business is a very complex process. Now, I simplify it in my programs, but there's nothing simple about starting a business. There's all of the different nuances that you have to navigate and you have to understand and you have to learn, and you simply just can't get that from a course. And just as a reminder, you can always visit CEOBlueprintacademy.com. That's CEOBlueprintacademy.com to see how you can work with me. So with that being said, that concludes this episode. Thank you once again for tuning in. And I can't wait for you to tune in to another episode of the Boss Experience podcast. And just a reminder, new episodes of the Boss Experience podcast return in January 2023. Take care and be well. Hey, it's Michele here from the Boss Experience podcast. Are you a coach, consultant, or other professional service provider trying to figure out where your next client lead is coming from? There are professionals on LinkedIn closing more deals than any other platform. You want to know why? People log on to Facebook and Instagram for social purposes. However, people come to LinkedIn for the sole purpose of networking with other professionals and doing business. When you implement a LinkedIn strategy correctly, it makes the difference between scrambling for your next client and having leads flowing into your business. So my friend, Troy Hippolito, just so happens to be a LinkedIn expert. And when you work with Troy, you get the exact formula to not just get a lead, but actual clients. So if you need a dedicated done-for-you service or just the blueprint to be effective on LinkedIn, Troy's got you covered. Just visit CEOGamePlan.com to schedule a free, no-obligation call with Troy to see how you can leverage LinkedIn for your business. Now back to the episode. Thank you for tuning in to the Boss Experience podcast. Don't forget to leave a review for this episode and tune in next time.